G'day, guys. Welcome back to Statchat Sports. You're here with me, Josh, as well as BT and Steve. We are here for it's kind of a weird show, this one. It's a footy show. This is our weekly footy show where we do a little bit of a review of round one, BT, but we look forward to round two as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to do this. It's a bit different to your traditional reviews or preview videos, so we're just going to have a bit of banter, talk a bit of shit, and just see where it takes us, really.
That's what we're all about here at Statchat Sports. We like to share our opinion. It's not necessarily a good one. So, of course, if you disagree, let us know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel before we get going with this, because we love putting out all our sports content, and it's great to have you guys involved and keeping up to date with everything we're putting out. First segment of the first weekly footy show. Steve, we're going to call this one Hits, Misses, and Hold Fire. We're looking for a team that was a hit, a team that was a miss, and a team that we might need to wait another week or two to assess our judgments on. And Steve, you've got the hit for this week.
Yeah, I haven't gone with a team per se, more so of a moment that happened in a particular game. Talking about Heath Chapman's game-winning save on the goal line for the Dockers.
Oh, this was epic. This was just unbelievable. Not really a household name, was he, BT, before this, but it's one of the great 1%ers of all time.
Oh, he's definitely a household name now. He's he's the biggest name for the round. I watched that most of that game. Then I was down. I checked the score, and it was 1 point in. I was like, "Oh, quick, got to get back to the TV." Saw that, and I was like, "Oh, I like watching draws because you don't see them that often." But that was, for such a young player, that was a big moment.
And not only the tap on the line to get back up and get the receiving handball, and then clear it out of, and the play wasn't over just by saving it off the line. So he did well to recover from there as well.
The game awareness was just phenomenal, and it was a really gutsy win from Freo, Steve. I mean, they went into the game favourite, just had that wave of momentum from Adelaide. They looked shocked to me. I can't believe they came back and won it.
We had nothing but good things to say about Freo and nothing but really bad things to say about Adelaide, but Adelaide showed a bit of fight and to come back there. So, I mean, I didn't catch too much of it, but I don't really know if Freo switched off a lot or whether Adelaide just really upped the gears, but ended up being a pretty good game. So
there were a lot of good games this round. I think you could say eight of the 9, really it could have gone either way. I think there was only one real blowout this round. And BT, you're going to run us through our miss for the week. So it's a team or a player that really wasn't on. Have you gone with the obvious candidate?
No, I've gone with St Kilda. I'm going with the Saints.
You've gone with the Saints?
Purely based on Geelong. I know we had Geelong down. I'm assuming you're referring to Essendon, the big loss.
Yeah, Essendon, obviously the main team that got blown out, and they did not look great, did not look competitive. Rutten was very public about that as well, that it was not the sort of effort you want to see, particularly round one. But you've gone with the Saints. The Saints fans are not going to love us at all.
Oh, it's purely because they're coming up against a Collingwood side, which is clearly dropped off a lot, where Essendon was coming up against a Geelong team. I know we had them a little bit lower down the ladder this season, but who knows, they could still finish top 4. So this was perfect for St Kilda to get off to the season to a flyer. Easy competition at their home ground. They love playing at Marvel. Friday night against a big club in Collingwood, and they cracked under pressure. Oh, and also, I'm going to add a player to this. He was my Brownlow tip in Jack Steele. Brought him into my fantasy as well, paid top dollar for him.
Oh, no.
And this guy, oh my God. Watched him last season a bit, but now because he was in my fantasy team, so I watched him a lot on Friday. I watched the whole game. I've never seen such a player who does not like to run both ways. He's a good player, but he was one-on-one with the goalie a fair few times in the centre. This was a perfect example. They were right next to each other. Colin would get the easy clearance to goalie, bombs it in long, bounces around, there's a ball up, and 30 metres out, probably the left-hand side. St Kilda win the tap, bang it back out. Colin would bang it back into the right-hand side. Guess who takes the mark? The goalie. Where's Jack Steele? Still on the left-hand side where the first ball up was.
Yeah, Jack Steele has this perception as he's one of the best tackling players in the competition. Really likes to get stuck in, but yeah, not a two-way runner. That's an interesting call. I don't see enough Saints games to be able to comment on that, but I'm sure that the Saints fans will certainly give their opinion. Yeah, interesting call. Was there anyone from the Saints that you thought did show something? Because, you know, they certainly didn't have their best performance on Friday night.
Rowan Marshall, he had an outstanding game. He tore up Brody Grundy, but Can't go past Jack. Big Jack Hayes.
Unbelievable.
What a game. He's definitely a star. He's already a good size. He might keep Paddy Ryder out. They may play all three and play Paddy Ryder up forward, or
that's what I was going to ask is how does that work? Because you don't want to be too tall, and they've got a couple of tall guys up front already.
You got to get games into this guy. Obviously, Paddy Ryder's not going to be around for much longer. And he based on that one game, he looked the goods. 18 disposals, 3 goals, 89 efficiency, 11 contested possessions, all for a big man.
And more importantly, he's now on BT's list. And by BT, I mean Brian Taylor. Yes. And if you're on Brian Taylor's list, it means you're getting more prime time games, which is good for the club. It's good for their popularity. So give this man some game time and make the Saints relevant again. I think it's a no-brainer. Obviously. He's definitely got the goods. I like him, Rowan Marshall. They're probably the two players that stood out. Rest of the team, I'm going to stick with what we said through in the preseason. Boring list. I can see them. They're not going to like you.
I can see them based on that one performance. They're finishing bottom 4 of that.
Bottom 4.
They were.
Jeez. We're not even in the bold predictions part yet. Come on, BT.
They deserve to lose by more than what they did against Collingwood.
Yeah, my mate Lipinski as well. He looked like an absolute jet. So if you're making him look like a superstar, clearly you're no good. The last part of this segment is the hold fire. So typically Tazza would run this segment, not in tonight. For Tazza's sake, his beloved Port Adelaide, they're my pick for the hold fire for this week. I don't think it's all doom and gloom for Port. Obviously disappointing to go down in round 1 to what is going to be a top 4 team in Brisbane. But the injuries hurt him. You don't want to blame injuries, but they did have a lot of injuries. You know, Aaliyah doing the ankle, he's going to be out for a while. McKenzie with the knee, which looked really bad, but apparently it's not an ACL. You know, Gray and Rosie, they battled through. Dersma got subbed out with the collarbone from the heat-seeking Mitch Robinson, who just was a human missile out there just going directly for the collarbone. They had injury problems, but there were some good signs. Dan Houston was phenomenal in this game and really stepped up to the level that Port Adelaide fans have been wanting him to get to for a while. The midfield looked good. They got on top in the third quarter and really cemented home that advantage. They were up by 4 goals. It was really good signs, particularly given their forward line wasn't functioning. You know, I think they had 2 goals combined for the game from key forwards. You know, Georgiades, who was our, hyped up pick at the start of the year, he only kicked 1. Todd Marshall only kicked 1. Finlayson in his first game for the club had no impact. Obviously, Charlie Dixon not back in the team. So forward line structure wasn't there, but even still, Port Adelaide looked competitive and they were able to match it for the most part with a really good team in Brisbane. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for Port Adelaide. Steve, would you agree with me on that, or you think I'm talking out of my ass?
No, I'd agree. Yeah, it didn't look great that fourth quarter, being up by 4 goals. I think like you're going against Brisbane, who are top 4 team. Like you had the top 4 teams. Well, we think the top 4 teams all going against each other this first game. So yeah, they can't take it too deep. Big Joe Danaher with 4 goals towards that 70 total.
Yeah,
could have had
5. What was he thinking, BT? What was that? He's your man.
I was literally, I only watched that game because I want to watch Smoke and Joe. That's all I care about with Brisbane this year. He is my number 1 player for the whole season. I'd rather Joe Danaher kick 70 goals than West Coast Eagles win the premiership. That's how much I'm on Smoke and Joe. Smoke and Joe is going all the way.
BT. That's a terrible call. What are you thinking?
He looked good, though. You have to admit, he looked good.
He did look good. He was marking everything, and he was playing against a really good Port Adelaide backline. They've got some good players there. They've got an All-Australian in Aaliyah. You know, McKenzie has turned himself into a really good key back. Jonas, so, they're no slouches there.
He looked very good. And there's going to be coming up against these lower teams when he versus your Adelaide, your Gold Coast. He's going to kick bags.
He's going to feast. He's going to absolutely feast. You can guarantee that. So that's our first segment done and dusted. Hits, misses, and hold fires. Getting into our next segment. This is a segment that we're calling Game Day Overreactions. Obviously, in the heat of watching a game, you're very prone to making a couple of silly calls, a couple of very emotive calls. The Statchat group chat was filled with some very interesting calls over the weekend in the middle of games. What we're going to do is we're going to bring some of those up, and we're going to, in the cold light of day, on reflection, have a look at them and go, was there some sense in that, or was it a bullshit call? Was it an overreaction? The one I'm going to start with, we mentioned this already. Dan Houston was very good in that Port Adelaide game. BT with the early call, Houston for Brownlow. Steve, your thoughts?
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not even entirely sure who that is, but you already know who my pick is for the Brownlow. So I've got to disagree with everyone else's call for the Brownlow. So
just remind us, in case the viewers haven't seen our predictions video.
I had two, Bont and Petrarca. I'm scrapping Bont and I'm going Petrarca only.
Who looked phenomenal on Wednesday night.
He did. Surely he's getting 3 votes there. Surely. So, it's ridiculous call from Brodie. Absolutely silly.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. BT, do you, on reflection, are you copping that?
No, I'm not, because based on statistics, he is one of the best. He's going to get 3 votes in that game, so technically, he's one of the best 9 players in the competition right now. 8 other players who have 3 votes. So when this is recorded, he is a top 9 player in the comp.
That's a rubbish call. That's absolutely terrible.
Facts.
I'm not
that's facts. Facts, mate. Can't argue with facts.
Moving on, clearly. We were watching the Freo game, and obviously none of us here are Freo supporters. We're actually all Eagles supporters. But I made the early call, Freo down against Adelaide, and I said, can Fremantle still make finals? I know that Darcy and Fife aren't in the team, but gee whiz, they don't look good. Can Freo still make finals?
I'd like to see him not make finals, but I think they could. As much as it pains to say. They had a couple of nice goals scored. Goal of the season. I think it's already summed up. We'll give it to Michael Fredericks now. I don't think anyone else is going to score a better goal than that this season.
Oh, the commentators didn't even know what to say.
Well, she didn't even think it was a goal. It was and obviously playing away, there was no crowd reaction. So, I mean, understandably, I suppose, but I think there'd be many top strikers in football or soccer around the world that would be happy to score a goal like that. So, props to them. You don't see many of them like that in AFL. So, I'm calling it early. That's goal of the year.
I was a little bit sheepish that Freo did get back and win. They didn't really look good in patches there, but those are the type of games that when the season's all said and done, you win those, it gives you a pretty good chance of, getting your way higher up the ladder. So I still think they're a chance.
And they've
still got players to come back.
They've got St Kilda this week, so that's an easy 10-goal win there.
Nice call. You heard it here first. Last game day overreaction. From the same game here, we're talking Adelaide. Josh Rochelle. Rochelle. I still like Rochelle. I like the extra syllable there. Josh Rochelle is a genuine superstar and will be an All-Australian within 3 years. BT, he looked like a jet. He looked phenomenal, didn't he?
Oh, he's an absolute gun. But I was a bit salty because I had him on my pine in fantasy, so I was hoping he was...
Oh, you didn't, did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately. So, but he's and he's going to play maybe this season, maybe next season in the forward line, but they're obviously going to be pushing him into that midfield. He just knows how to find that ball. It's just one of those players who can just rack it up. So once he pushes that midfield,
dangerous spots.
Yeah, for a first gamer, he looked really good. So I don't think that's a bad call. I can see that happening.
Steve, you didn't see much of the game, so probably hard for you to comment. But 5 goals on debut is certainly no slouch.
Yeah, no, I saw all 5. To be honest, I mean, the more and more I watched of the highlight package of that game, he just popped up everywhere. And yeah, 5 goals on debut is not nothing to slouch over. So, and like he's bagging him from set shots. He looked good. So
there you go. That's our game day overreactions. What we'd like to do as well is not just have it as our own calls, but if you've got any calls that you come up with mid-game, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, mid-game. We'll probably have a post out. So we want to get you involved in the conversation, hear some of your game day overreactions, and we'll bring them up here on the channel in our weekly AFL video. BT, your segment, BT's Game of the Week, coming up for round 2.
So I was going through the fixtures, and there's actually not that many exciting games other than the one Friday night, Sydney versus Geelong in Sydney.
Huge.
Buddy Franklin, 4 goals off. Can he do it? I'll say he's going to have Blitzards on him. You think?
You'd have to think so because they didn't have much else in the tank. Sam DeConning wasn't overly impressive in his second game of AFL footy.
Well, he won't be playing anyway. He's out concussion.
Concussion. Yeah, of course. So that's going to be a problem for the Cats. But you'd have to think the number one man's going to go to Buddy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd think so. So hopefully he can get it at the SCG. Friday night game as well. So it's going to get huge viewership. It's a massive game for the ladder. If either team goes 2 and zip, or the other team goes 1-1, that can. I know it's early, but can play a major factor.
Where do you think the game's going to be won? I mean, these two teams have very good midfields. Is it going to come down to that?
I think Geelong's midfield's a little bit better, but I like the forwards. No, it doesn't look like Jeremy Cameron's going to be playing, so they've got probably only Big Tomahawk. But I like the forwards of Sydney, the midfielders and the smallish type forwards who can kick the goals. I think that's the big one. If they can, your Heaney, your Hewitt, your Haywood, these type of players, if they can pop up and kick their goals again like they did last game against GWS, I think they can get it done.
How good was Heaney as well the other day? We were all aboard the hype train for Heaney. I've got him in my AFL fantasy team. Geez, he looked really good, didn't he?
Yeah, he's going to be a superstar. He knows how to find the ball as well. Wherever he's playing, he can find the ball. So knows how to kick goals, knows how to mark, and being that medium-sized player. So yeah, he's going to be a key factor for this game. I think Sydney will get it done. I think Buddy will kick exactly 4. He'll get his 1,000 in the fourth quarter. Then that game will be dragged out for another half an hour because they have to get everyone off the ground.
How many people are going to get COVID from that? I mean, that's got to be a super spreader for sure.
Oh, for sure. You just don't record that one. Just brush that one aside. That's.
What are the players going to do? How if these teams, they might just get COVID purely from that. What's the AFL going to do the following week if all of Sydney and Geelong can't play because everybody ran on the field? It's going to be a debacle, Steve. I mean, what are we doing here?
Well, I saw an interview on some footy show maybe last week or so. They were talking to Big Gill, and they asked the question. They said, "What are they going to do? What are you going to do if when Buddy scores his 1,000th goal, and how are you going to stop everyone from getting on the field?" And his answer was, "Don't. You can't stop it. You're not going to stop it." So, you can get every security guard in Sydney to go around the perimeter of that field, and you're not going to stop them all from getting on the field. So it's almost like a case of just accept it and let it happen and just see what happens, basically. Or kick the goal and sprint into the change room as quickly as you can and get everyone off the field. But again, that's not going to happen either. So
that's what I was going to say.
That's what happened last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. So if he's on 999 lining up for his 1,000, do you think all players they will, other than obviously Buddy and whoever's on the mark, every other player goes to the dugout ready to go down? If he doesn't kick it, then sportsmanlike,
ridiculous.
It would look hilarious. And then everyone runs on the ground and there's actually no player on there.
Well, what's going to happen if he misses?
Yeah, not sportsmanlike. You just
then you've just got the quick kick out from the back line.
And
Cat's running up
and then a one-on-one versus Buddy.
How good. I don't know, honestly, Josh. I don't know what they'll do if a whole heap of players get it. It's worth it. You have to. Everyone has to run on the ground.
It's tradition. It's the only way to do it. I love it, and we can't wait to see it as well. One other thing we can't wait to see is the final segment of our weekly AFL show. And Steve, I'm throwing over to you, Mr. Bold Prediction himself.
I'm rubbing my hands together here. I can't wait to hear what crap you're going to come up with. You've judged me hard ways on this, so let's get it on.
Well, just to refresh for the people that might not have watched our AFL predictions video, if you haven't, by the way, pause this right now, open up a new tab, go and watch it, because if we do say so ourselves, it's some pretty damn good content. But Steve, you had some terrible bold predictions in that video, which is why we are making you the gatekeeper. You're the man that decides if these predictions are bold enough or not.
I won't say what my two bold predictions were from that video, just in case everyone hasn't gone back yet. But I will say that so far, I'm looking pretty good on both of those, to be perfectly honest with you. So it's early days, but I'm looking pretty good. So
very small sample.
Who wants to go first?
All right. I'm sticking with St Kilda because I cannot stand that
you
team.
You hate these guys, don't you? What's going on?
I'm an Eagles supporter. I'm a North Melbourne supporter, and I'm a St Kilda hater. I cannot stand this team. Here we go. Jack Steele will not be captain next season.
Oh my goodness.
Nah, if I wasn't like so into fantasy and I didn't really care about it, out of my team. Gone. I just don't want him. I don't want to see his face on my fantasy team every time I log in.
Rage train.
I don't want him there.
Okay, so who's the captain? Old Farmer Jack or what?
It's got to be. Who else would it be? It's got to be Jack. It's irrelevant. It does not matter. They're shit anyway.
We actually want the St Kilda supporters to watch our video and enjoy our content, BT. I mean, come on. What is with the vendetta? Saints TV is going to be up our ass again because of your shit, mate. I mean, what is going on?
Well, all right. We'll record it for the season. We'll come back to St Kilda game every week. And I'm going to say that I'm happy to take it. I'll take it all. I'm going to say I'm up 1-0 against St Kilda. Okay? I'm up 1-0. And we'll go over it. And then they're going to lose by 10 goals next week. And I'll be up 2-0.
All right.
I don't mind the call, but just quickly, why? Why would he not? Why? What's your reason behind it?
They need to completely rebuild the whole club. That's my reason. They've done nothing in the last 10 years. When did they make the grand final?
2010.
Yeah, they haven't done anything really much since then. Same sort of list. I know the St Kilda supporters ripped us in saying it's not the same list and all this bullshit. It's the same list. It's boring as. Let's get everyone out. Let's get new players in. Let's get a new captain. Let's get a new coach. Let's just start again.
All right, I'll allow it. Still don't think it's as good as mine, but we'll move on. Josh, what do you got for me, mate?
I don't know if mine's bold enough now. I mean, I feel like mine's very tame in comparison. We've already spoken about Buddy, about kicking the 1,000 goals. So it wouldn't be bold for me to say that he's going to kick it this week because it's Buddy. I know he only kicked one last week. For this week, you could see it happening. That's not bold. What would be bold is if he kicked it before halftime.
Oh.
I think he's going to have a big day out, the old Budweiser. And we spoke about Geelong's defence. They're a bit depleted. I can see Buddy going off at home. They haven't been at home for a very long time. He's going to put on a show. He's going to kick his 4 before half-time. I mean, that's bold, right? That's a bold prediction.
That's a big call.
That's a big call. Big call.
How is it not bold? I mean, how many times have people kicked 4 goals?
Yeah, anyone can kick one.
But he's he's 50 years old. I mean, the guy's walking out there with a Zimmer frame.
I thought you were going to pull out that he's not going to kick his 1,000th at all this season, and that he's just something's going to happen. He's going to be injured, or he's just not. He's just not going to have the year. We're all thinking this is the game where he's going to kick the 1,000. I thought you were going to come out with something like, that he's not. He won't get to 1,000 this year.
No, he will.
And he only needs 4.
I believe in the Bud, and he's going to do it very quickly. They're going to be looking for him as well. They're going to be looking for him. He's going to get it done early. I mean, you got to pay that. That's bold. It's a bold prediction.
I reckon he's kicking 1 goal.
See, now that's a bold prediction.
Yeah, and let me tell you why.
How is that a bold prediction? He kicked 1 goal last week. How is it bold?
He kicked 1 goal last week. He was getting tagged, and he was doing nothing.
Bill Davis was all over him last week.
He's
got this useless blitzer fella on him this week.
But Geelong, if I'm Geelong, I just don't want to be the team that he scores his 1,000th. That kicks his 1,000th goal against. So I'm putting the team on him. Put the defense on him. You know what I mean?
You're just gonna go the old Clarko from 2008 when he didn't want Fev to kick his 100th goal, and he just parked the bus. He sent all the blokes back, and he said, "Not happening, fellas. Not doing it."
Some people might not get this reference, but Jose Mourinho style. Put everyone behind the ball.
Yep.
Just let no goals be kicked the game. If the game ends as a 0-0 draw, that'd be one of the most iconic games in AFL history.
So by your logic then, it's bold. Is they going to park the bus?
Well, yeah.
I'll take it. Hey, have you got a bold prediction for us, by the way? Have you got one for this week? Or are you just judging ours?
No, look, I will throw one out. I mentioned it earlier. The goal of the season, it's finished.
Round one.
It's summed up. Round one, it's over. Honestly, I don't think there'll be a better one than that. Then I'm referring to Michael Fredericks, his little half volley. That's yeah.
So
By your standards, that's pretty shit. I mean,
better than yours, Josh.
More than that. Oh, come on.
Thanks,
4.5.
Thanks, mate.
4.5 for a guy that's almost got his pension card. Come on.
But it's Bradley Franklin. If any forward can do it, other than Joe Danaher could do it. He could easily kick 4.5. But if there's any other player, it's Bradley Franklin. So, and like you said yourself, they're going to be looking for it.
But 4.5. I mean, come on.
Nah, not good enough, Josh. Nah.
I'll allow it this week because it's the first week, but next week will be better.
Next week, we will come back bigger and bolder, and we'll have Tazza in tow as well. There'll be all four of us here for the AFL weekly video. We don't really want to do a game-by-game analysis. That's not what we're about here. We just want to cover things nice and light, keep it nice and easy. Fellas, nice work. Nice work. We've done well. We've kept it moving. We're a man down, but that's okay. We'll get him back next week. We'll have all four of us back here on the show. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty of content coming out. It's not just AFL related, so make sure you subscribe for plenty more of that. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.